what are what are some of your favorite memories from that period of climbing? Like what are the some of the most meaningful climbs that you did with Marc Andre?
Well, that day that I soloed Charity Luna was the same day that he soloed the corkscrew. So I was using your rope. I
Oh,
don't think
okay.
he had your rope.
He took my cams then. Yeah, you must be right because
Yeah.
I remember he had my C3s. I remember specifically this little cluster of cams that he took.
Uh-huh.
I must have given both of you guys. I gave you the rope and him the cams. That's classic. You guys divided and conquered. That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Thank
Also,
you.
when a couple divides and conquers like that to both go soloing on absurd objectives, like why not climb together? You know, it's safer on the glaciers. It's safer on the descent. Like why not team up?
We were supposed to be teamed up, and I knew he really wanted to solo that route. I knew it. He, and I was like, I feel like I was always kind of looking out for him. Like, I knew he wanted to, but he felt obligated to climb with me. And so the whole time I was also looking for objectives that I could solo. And so then I wanted to solo Cara di Luna. So then I brought it up to him. He wasn't gonna ask me because we were supposed to be partnered up. And I'm like, well, why don't we just solo? And he was like, yeah. And I could tell he wanted to do that. So we did that.
Classic.
Yeah.
But
But it was
yeah,
kind of
so
cool. So the mountains were really cloudy that day. And so he started up the corkscrew, but could tell that Saint-Exupéry, my mountain, was still in the clouds, but the summit was out of the clouds. So he was worried that I would see the clouds and bail and not continue. But what I did is I just waited a couple hours. I waited till noon to start up the mountain. And then by that time, the clouds had gone.
yeah, it's funny because Colin and I started climbing that morning also, and it was like in a rainstorm basically. Like when our alarm went off, it was raining, and we were like, "That is not a good time to go ice climbing." It was
Yeah.
like wet, and then we slept in a little longer, and then we went out, and yeah, the first ice route that we climbed was like running water, but we sort of made it up, and it all was kind of working. But yeah, I have these crazy pictures on my phone of just like clouds socked in around the Fitzroy Massif. It
Uh-huh.
was kind of an amazing day. But sadly for me and Colin, it wound up being like one of the most epic days of our life. But you guys had a great climbing day.
You guys scared us so bad. So, like, I thought we had all planned to hike out of the valley together. So, Mark and I finish our climbs, we go sleep in the tent, and then this huge windstorm comes in. It's like the craziest windstorm ever, and Colin and Alex just don't come back. And so their camp is left on the glacier, and like, we're out there, like, where are they? So, like, the middle of the night, we're trying to, like, get out our lights and, like, see if we can see you guys, and you're gone, and then your camp blows away and we were so scared. We spent the whole night out there worried about you, and then finally we hiked back to town thinking we were gonna have to start a rescue. We get back to town, and you guys had to hike all the way out Paso Marconi.
Yeah, we hiked the entire way around the mountain range. Whoops.
Uh,
Yeah, we bailed off the wrong side. And then like you said, since our camp blew away, basically we lost, well, you know, I was like, there goes my sleeping bag, my approach shoes, my trekking poles, my tent, like literally everything we owned. And so I was like, well, that's the end of my season. And then I just went home. I was like, I was like, and of course, over the course of our descent, we lost, or we sort of cut up both of our ropes. Like we lost all our gear and stuff. Everything was destroyed. So you wind up back in town and you're like, well, I have no ropes, no tent, no sleeping bag. It's like, I think my Alpine season has ended.
uh-huh.
I was like, what a character building. Yeah, that wound up being a 54-hour push for us, which is still the longest I've ever gone in the mountains.
Oh my god.
It was a character building failure, but you know, which is funny because you guys had such triumph, and we were just a few hours slower because you know climbing roped and trying to do a big traverse and everything, and we just got
Hmm.
so worked by the storm, and it just goes to show how narrow the margins are with you know, with conditions in the mountains. It's like if you
Yeah.
guys had been 6 hours slower, it could have been disastrous. But instead, it was like a perfect, beautiful day.
Or if a rope got stuck on rappel, like my wraps were so steep, I couldn't have climbed back up. It wraps down this really steep face. So, also, like, if anything went wrong, it would have been really bad. Mark, too. Mark had a big wrap.
Yeah, yeah, Mark's wrap. I mean, wrapping the entire compressor route by yourself is insane. Because then when
Yeah.
Colin and I came back the next year and actually did the Torrey Traverse, you know, we wrapped the compressor route at the end of a 24-hour push, and it took us like 12 hours to do the rappels. And the idea
Uh-huh.
of doing that by yourself when you're all worked and it's like windy, it's like it's pretty full on to wrap, you know, thousands of feet down this giant remote wall. It's like it's pretty full on.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But so I mean, just thinking about it, I'm like, it's all so extreme. Like how do you do that? Like why be motivated to do that kind of thing?
I think the way it makes you feel when you're done, because sometimes it's grueling. Like alpinism is not that fun. You have a huge backpack on your back, you're just walking for hours and hours carrying heavy weight. It's really hard on your body, and then you're completely drained after each alpine climb. But the way it makes you feel afterward, it's like all the elements just bring so much life into you. At least it brings life into me, and then it's exciting. And alpinists are known to have short memories, and because that's why we keep going back to the mountains. It's like we forget about how grueling it was and how exhausting it was, and we just like keep being drawn back because it's these like it's almost like value that it brings to some kind of deeper level in your person, or like an experience that's so memorable and so vivid that you'll never forget it. Like I'll never forget soloing Chiara di Luna. It was a really intense but really beautiful. And also I like soloing in general is something that is so satisfying for yourself. It's like no one else is there to affect your decisions. You're going there because you want to be there, and then you're always just like making small calls and small decisions based on how you're feeling or what the rock is telling you. So I think I've learned more about myself in soloing than I have in any other kind of climbing.